Blessings to you, beautiful soul. The angels wrap their wings around you right now, filling your heart with warmth, peace, and the deepest love straight from heaven. You are so seen, you are so loved, and you were guided here today for a reason. Welcome to Angel's Message for You original channel. Before you do anything else, stop, take a breath, because what you are about to hear in the next few minutes could completely change everything you thought you knew about love, about waiting, and about the person who lives so deeply in your heart. The angels have something urgent to tell you, something they have been waiting for the right moment to bring through. If you have ever wondered why things feel the way they feel right now, why something seems to be shifting, why there is a restless ache in your chest that you cannot quite explain, this message is going to answer all of that. Stay until the very end, because the most important part, the part that could change the direction of your story, is coming. The angels are asking you to hear every single word. Dear beautiful soul, you need to be prepared. Listen very carefully to everything the angels are about to reveal to you right now. The connection between you and the person your heart beats for is going through something powerful, something real, something that can no longer stay hidden in the invisible world. And the angels have come today to help you understand exactly what is happening and what is about to unfold. You have been so strong. Strong on the days when nothing made sense. Strong when you kept believing even when silence was all you received. Strong for keeping a little flame alive inside yourself, even without knowing if the other side would also choose to stay. That kind of strength is sacred. Heaven has seen every single moment of it. Not one tear, not one quiet prayer, not one sleepless night has gone unnoticed. But today, with all the love that heaven carries for you, the angels need to tell you something important. What you and this person share can no longer stay only in the spiritual. It has outgrown that space. It is asking, no, it is demanding to be born into the real world. And that is not a loss. That is one of the most significant moments of your entire journey. The person your heart feels so intensely no longer wants to only imagine, dream, or sense this connection. They no longer want this feeling of almost a far away, of undefined. The love between you has been speaking through actions and through silences and through strange distances that tell you something has changed. And the reason is not that the feeling has gone. The reason is the exact opposite. The feeling has grown so big, so deep, so full, that it no longer fits in the space where you have been keeping it. While you have been trying to maintain the spiritual bond, this person has already begun to long for something real. They want to see your eyes. They want to hear your voice. They want to share actual time together and not just thoughts exchanged in the silence of the night. And that is exactly why you have been feeling restless, confused, maybe even a little doubtful about what is really going on. The truth is that the invisible bond that united you has reached the edge of its current form. It will not break, but it will change, because heaven is ready to transform what has been spiritual into something you can actually live and touch and build your life around. God is not allowing this discomfort in your heart for no reason. When the soul stirs the way yours has been stirring, it is always a sign that something new is ready to be born. Not just inside you, but right in front of your eyes. The person you love wants a clear choice. They want a life with presence. They want a love that takes real form. And this is the message the angels came to deliver. This is not an ending. This is not the end of love. This is the end of waiting, the end of half a life. The end of a love that only exists on the inside. What is coming is bigger. What is coming is physical and visible and lived. And even if fear whispers to you that you might lose this love, the truth is you can only truly find it now. When you stop stop just feeling and start actually living. When you stop waiting and start choosing. That is why the angels ask you to stay until the very end of this message. Because every word that comes through is opening your eyes a little wider to what is already being built in the invisible, what is getting ready to completely transform your life. There is something you have felt over the past few days and tried to push aside. But your heart would not let you. That sudden absence. That unexplained distance. That shift in energy that hurt more than any harsh word ever could. It was all real. And it was not by chance. The connection between you and this soul started showing signs that something was changing. It was not you who caused this. And this person was not trying to hurt you. What is happening is that the love between you has simply outgrown the invisible world. As deep as everything you built together feels, that depth is now pressing against the walls of a life lived only in thought and feeling. What once held the bond together, the messages, the synchronicities, the shared dreams, now feels like it is not quite enough. You can feel it. The intensity is still there, burning as bright as ever. But it no longer has enough room to breathe. And this has a much greater reason behind it than you may realize. The truth is the person you feel so clearly in your chest has reached their own limit of waiting. This is not about giving up. This is not about love ending. This is about the deep human need to live love in a way that can be seen and touched and held. This person wants more than energy exchanged across a distance. They want your presence. They want real days and real moments and real life. You may have been trying to hold things the way they were because you are afraid of losing what you have. That is understandable. That is human. But life, guided by heaven, is pushing both of you toward a greater choice. And silence never lies. Actions always change before words do. You noticed the coldness that was not there before, the distance in timing, the shift in the way conversations felt. Even the spiritual connection started to feel different. This is not a lack of feeling. This is a heart that is tired of loving without being able to live that love in the real world. This person has been protecting themselves from the pain of longing for something that never fully arrives. Even if you have not completely understood it yet, the truth is already present. This connection, as beautiful as it has been, is no longer enough in its current form. And if your heart has felt tight, if your thoughts have been spinning, if your soul has been restless, it is because the other half of this bond is vibrating on a new frequency. And the universe is calling you to follow. It is not easy to feel that something is shifting, especially when you have poured so much faith into this connection. But here is what the angels want you to know with complete love and clarity. You are not being left behind. You are being called to step up. What once lived only in the heart now needs to take form in the world. This person wants action. They want answers. They want courage. And even though the distance feels frightening, it is serving a purpose. It is breaking the illusion that simply feeling is enough. Because it is not anymore. Love is asking for a real choice. The distance you felt is the reflection of a truth. The time of keeping everything only spiritual has passed. This person is wondering whether you will have the courage to live what you both know exists between you. Take a quick second before we move forward. Many channels are reposting and copying our content, but authentic energy cannot be duplicated. For the strongest positive connection and divine guidance, always listen from the original angel's message for you channel with the black logo base. Now, let's continue with the message your angels want you to hear. You may not have noticed it clearly, but everything around you has already begun to change. Signs showing up in unexpected places. Inner shifts you cannot explain. Thoughts that will not leave you alone. sensations when you first wake up. All of this is heaven speaking directly to you. It is the call to step out of the space of waiting and walk into the time of decision. The connection is changing form because love wants to happen. Maybe you believed that simply waiting was enough, that life would find a way on its own. But today the angels come to tell you the way has already arrived. The message has been delivered. The call is loud and clear. Your soulmate is tired of keeping love only in intuition. And when you pay close enough attention, you will realize there is no more room for simply dreaming. Now is the time to live. Everything that aches inside you is not absence. It is the sign that this bond is about to transform into something so much greater than what it has been. You held on so tightly for so long, believing that feeling alone was enough. You fed your heart with signs and coincidences and moments that made your soul leap. You built an entire world inside yourself where this person lived, even when the outside world could not see it. And for a long time that was beautiful and it was real and it was enough. The connection was alive and intense and present in every thought. But now what once made you breathe with hope has started to feel like missing air. The soul always knows when it is being called to something greater. That is exactly what is happening right now. The bond still exists, but it no longer fills you the same way. Not because love has lessened. What is changing is the size of the need. The feeling has grown so much, matured so much, that it no longer fits inside the distance. Your soulmate is tired of feeling close only in thought. This person has started longing for the real, to share ordinary time, to live the small details together. It is no longer just about an invisible connection. It is about presence. It is about waking up and knowing you can count on each other, not only in the spiritual sense, but in a touch, in a look, in all the small concrete moments that make a life feel full. This person is missing something that you are still trying to hold onto with the strength of what once was. But that cannot stay the same. And deep down, you know it too. What once filled you with energy now leaves a certain emptiness. What once gave you the strength to keep waiting now creates a strange kind of discomfort. This change is not a punishment. It is an invitation. The universe is pulling you out of because it did not come in the form of clear words. The distance you felt, the sudden coolness, the strangeness in the air between you, all of it is a request. It is the heart's desperate way of protecting itself from the pain of waiting for something that never fully arrives. And this is your chance to show that what you feel is as real as you know it to be. You can keep living in the safety of feeling, but that has a cost, and the cost is too high. It is the cost of losing the chance to live a love that arrived with purpose. Or you can choose to take the step that heaven is asking of you, because everything around you right now is calling you out of the spiritual and into the real. What was felt in the deepest part of your heart, heaven heard. Every thought you sent into the silence, every trembling prayer, every request you made in the middle of confusion, not one was ignored. Even when you were certain you were completely alone, the spiritual realm was watching over everything. Because true love is never lost in the void. It rises upward until it touches the heart of God. And it was not only you who asked. Your soulmate asked too. In the middle of days filled with distance, in the middle of uncertainty, in the longing to live this love fully, there was a cry, not necessarily with words, but with such a strong desire to make this real that it could no longer be held only inside. And when two hearts ask in truth, heaven moves. Nothing that is happening right now is a coincidence. The pressure you have been feeling, the urgency for change, the discomfort with everything that once seemed like enough. It is all part of the answer. The answer that heaven is already bringing, little by little, to transform the connection between you into something that goes beyond the invisible. You are being prepared to live what you asked for. But you need to be willing to step out of where you are right now. The universe never delivers something great through a shallow door. And this love, because it runs so deep, is asking for real changes. First on the inside, then on the outside. That is why you felt the ground shake. That is why the distance shook you so hard. Because it is often in the discomfort of waiting that truth finally reveals itself. And now that the truth is becoming clear, there is no more room to hide behind fear. What heaven is preparing requires action. Your soulmate is closer than you realize, even through the distance. This is not a soft comfort meant to soothe you. This is a real spiritual warning meant to wake you up. Something greater is at work here. Something that is pushing both of you toward the turning point. And if you do not fully grasp what that means, you risk missing the chance to live this love in the purest and most real form it has ever taken. Heaven has already moved. It has already heard what both of you have been carrying. And it has already begun to act. What looks like distance and confusion and doubt from where you are standing is actually preparation. It is the process of releasing everything that no longer serves so that this story can be rebuilt on a foundation of truth. But this rebuilding depends on you. It depends on your willingness to live what until now you have only felt. Waiting for everything to happen without your own surrender has reached its limit. Love needs action. Love needs courage. Love needs presence. Your soulmate's heart is carrying something heavy, waiting for clarity, and heaven is putting everything in place so that clarity can arrive. But it must come from within you. It must come with honesty. Do not think all is lost just because this phase feels confusing. Every great turning point arrives with a certain turbulence. And what is happening between you is the announcement of something much greater. It is heaven's answer saying, yes, this love has a purpose. Yes, it can happen in the real world. But only if both sides are ready to release the idealized version and step into the actual lived experience. Heaven does not play with true feelings. If you are receiving this message right now, it is because the time has come to become fully aware. Everything you asked for, everything you dreamed of with faith, is beginning to take form. But it will not arrive the way you pictured it. It will arrive with truth and with the need to release fear. Your soulmate feels it too, also searching for answers, also looking within and understanding that this connection can no longer live only in the spiritual realm. This love needs to happen, and the urgency you feel inside is not anxiety. It is the call of heaven saying the time has come. The waiting served to make you stronger. The distance served to bring clarity. And now the answer has arrived. God heard everything. Everything is about to change. While you work to understand what is happening, heaven has already started arranging what needs to be lived. Nothing is standing still. Nothing is lost. The absence of obvious answers, the shifting signs, the unexpected shifts in your soulmate's behavior, all of it is part of something greater being carefully prepared to take this love out of the waiting room and bring it into real life. You have not been forgotten. You are not being passed over. On the contrary, you are at the very center of a purpose that is unfolding right now. Even if everything looks confusing on the surface in the unseen, because it did not come in the form of clear words. The distance you felt, the sudden coolness, the strangeness in the air between you, all of it is a request. It is the heart's desperate way of protecting itself from the pain of waiting for something that never fully arrives. And this is your chance to show that what you feel is as real as you know it to be. You can keep living in the safety of feeling, but that has a cost. and the cost is too high. It is the cost of losing the chance to live a love that arrived with purpose. Or you can choose to take the step that heaven is asking of you, because everything around you right now is calling you out of the spiritual and into the real. What was felt in the deepest part of your heart, heaven heard. Every thought you sent into the silence, every trembling prayer, every request you made in the middle of confusion, not one was ignored. Even when you were certain you were completely alone, the spiritual realm was watching over everything. Because true love is never lost in the void. It rises upward until it touches the heart of God. And it was not only you who asked. Your soulmate asked too. In the middle of days filled with distance, in the middle of uncertainty, in the longing to live this love fully, there was a cry, not necessarily with words, but with such a strong desire to make this real that it could no longer be held only inside. And when two hearts ask in truth, heaven moves. Nothing that is happening right now is a coincidence. The pressure you have been feeling, the urgency for change, the discomfort with everything that once seemed like enough. It is all part of the answer that heaven is already bringing, little by little, to transform the connection between you into something that goes beyond the invisible. You are being prepared to live what you asked for, but you need to be willing to step out of where you are right now. The universe never delivers something great through a shallow door. And this love, because it runs so deep, is asking for real changes. First on the inside, then on the outside. That is why you felt the ground shake. That is why the distance shook you so hard. Because it is often in the discomfort of waiting that truth finally reveals itself. And now that the truth is becoming clear, there is no more room to hide behind fear. What heaven is preparing requires action. Your soulmate is closer than you realize, even through the distance. This is not a soft comfort meant to soothe you. This is a real spiritual warning meant to wake you up. Something greater is at work here. Something that is pushing both of you toward the turning point. And if you do not fully grasp what that means, you risk missing the chance to live this love in the purest and most real form it has ever taken. Heaven has already moved. It has already heard what both of you have been carrying. And it has already begun to act. What looks like distance and confusion and doubt from where you are standing is actually preparation. It is the process of releasing everything that no longer serves so that this story can be rebuilt on a foundation of truth. But this rebuilding depends on you. It depends on your willingness to live what until now you have only felt. Waiting for everything to happen without your own surrender has reached its limit. Love needs action. Love needs courage. Love needs presence. Your soulmate's heart is carrying something heavy, waiting for clarity, and heaven is putting everything in place so that clarity can arrive. But it must come from within you. It must come with honesty. Do not think all is lost just because this phase feels confusing. Every great turning point arrives with a certain turbulence. And what is happening between you is the announcement of something much greater. It is heaven's answer saying, yes, this love has a purpose. Yes, it can happen in the real world. But only if both sides are ready to release the idealized version and step into the actual lived experience. Heaven does not play with true feelings. If you are receiving this message right now, it is because the time has come to become fully aware. Everything you asked for, everything you dreamed of with faith, is beginning to take form. But it will not arrive the way you pictured it. It will arrive with truth and with the need to release fear. Your soulmate feels it too, also searching for answers, also looking within and understanding that this connection can no longer live only in the spiritual realm. This love needs to happen. And the urgency you feel inside is not anxiety. It is the call of heaven saying the time has come. The waiting served to make you stronger. The distance served to bring clarity. And now the answer has arrived. God heard everything. Everything is about to change. While you work to understand what is happening, heaven has already started arranging what needs to be lived. Nothing is standing still. Nothing is lost. The absence of obvious answers, the shifting signs, the unexpected shifts in your soulmate's behavior, all of it is part of something greater being carefully prepared to take this love out of the waiting room and bring it into real life. You have not been forgotten. You are not being passed over. On the contrary, you are at the very center of a purpose that is unfolding right now. Even if everything looks confusing on the surface in the unseen realm, there is already movement pushing both hearts toward the choice that truly matters. The spiritual connection is not being canceled. It is being redirected into something stronger, more whole, more present. That is why you have been feeling so many emotions at once. At moments it feels like everything is about to fall apart. At other moments the longing is so strong it makes you absolutely certain that something still exists between you. And there is, but not in the old form. That quiet, invisible bond that sustained you for so long now needs to become real actions. The plan being written by heaven is preparing you for exactly this. Your soulmate is being touched by the same calling. Even if you are not talking the way you once did, even if it feels like there is a gap, there is a spiritual alignment happening right now. An invisible push that is causing this person to rethink everything, feel everything more intensely, and understand that things cannot stay the way they have been. Every thought that brings this person's memory back to you, every moment something unexpected reminds you of them, every sensation that rises out of nowhere, they are all confirmations that you are being guided, not to keep things the same, but to allow this love to move into a new phase. A phase where the spiritual and the physical finally meet. It is completely natural to feel afraid. Leaving the space where everything was felt but nothing required action is genuinely challenging. But the ache you feel right now is actually a very clear answer. You can no longer live waiting for everything to change on its own. Heaven is asking you to take a position. It is showing you that what you built together is strong. But it also needs to stand in the real world. And here is what is most powerful about all of this. Even without talking, even without being physically close, you are still reaching each other in thought. But that no longer brings relief the way it once did. Now it brings a kind of restlessness, because the soul knows when time has changed. And time has changed. The plan surrounding this connection is being expanded so that love does not get lost in the almost and the someday and the maybe. This is a strong calling, a clear spiritual message that the phase of waiting is coming to an end. And heaven, which has heard everything, is now moving on both sides. You are being pulled out of fear. Your soulmate is being pulled into the desire to truly live. And in the middle of it all, the universe is preparing the right moment, the right place, the real opportunity. But none of this will land if there is no decision. As confusing as things may look, the truth is that everything is coming together. Not the way you imagined, but exactly the way it needs to be. What lies ahead will require honesty. It will ask you to stop hiding behind the spiritual connection and begin to act. This plan will only be fulfilled if there is true openness in both hearts. Nothing you felt was wasted. No memory was meaningless. No connection was invented. Everything was part of what is unfolding right now. But from here on there is no more room for staying in the middle. Either this love becomes real life or it fades for lack of action. What once could be postponed now asks for a clear answer. It is no longer about doubt or confusion. It is about truth. The moment of true surrender has arrived. And you know it. Your heart can no longer hold the feeling that something is hanging by a thread. That pressure inside you, that urge to resolve it, that need to do something. Those are not random emotions. Those are signs that the time to stay hidden is over. You were not brought this far to live halfway. You were not guided by this connection to stay stuck between faith and frustration. What brought you here was absolutely real. But what takes you forward must be lived. And there is no hiding place left. Deep inside you, you always knew. The difference is that now heaven is asking for action. Time is asking for surrender. Your soulmate is also at this exact turning point, feeling the same discomfort, carrying the same weight of having nowhere left to run inside their own soul. This person no longer wants to feel a love without being able to touch it. And even without saying it out loud, the way they have pulled back and changed and quieted the intensity has been a silent request for a decision. The angels did not come to demand haste. They came to remind you that choosing to live something true takes courage. Waiting for something that never comes quietly eats away at the soul. And if you both feel this much, why are you still living as though nothing is happening? The spiritual world has already shown everything it could show. The connection has already done its work of bringing two hearts together. What is missing now is real surrender. Heaven is aligning paths, but the universe cannot do for you what only you can decide. This love can no longer survive on expectations alone. And your soulmate is waiting for action. Something to prove the feeling is not just trapped in thought. Something to show that the bond between you has the courage to exist beyond the unseen. Surrender is not about having everything perfect. It is not about having all the answers before you take one step. It is about presence. It is about choosing to show up even with fear still in your chest. It is about leaving the comfort of only feeling and allowing love to unfold in daily life, with its real challenges and its real beauty. And here is what the angels need you to understand. If you do not act now, you may lose the chance to live something that was designed for you long before this moment in time. Your soulmate is protecting their heart from the pain of waiting alone. And if you do not clearly show that you also want to live this, destiny may take a different turn. Not because love will end, but because the heart grows tired. And when it grows tired, it closes. And once it closes, it takes so much more to open it again. Life is pushing you toward a real answer. The signs are all around you. The intense waves of longing. The emptiness that arrives without warning. The feeling that something is hanging right on the edge. All of it is love screaming for space and action and truth. And you need to decide what you are going to do with it. It does not have to be something grand. It just has to be real. A word that says what your heart actually feels. A step taken in the right direction. A choice that proves the love you have built has real value. Because the time of keeping everything in the field of promises is over. Now is the moment to bring this feeling into the world. To let this love step out of the dream and become an actual life. You have come too far to go back. But you also cannot keep hiding behind later. Love needs presence in the now. The surrender heaven is asking of you today is the key that opens the next chapter of this story. You have felt this love inside you so many times with a force that was almost impossible to explain. At moments you thought just feeling it was enough to be happy. That it was enough to sense and imagine and stay connected on the inside. But now even that has started to feel hollow. The soul knows when it is being called to step out of the invisible. That is what is happening right now. This love wants to be born in the physical world. The intensity that once filled you is now turning into an inner demand. Your heart knows the time has come to stop living only on what could be and finally begin living what is. It is no longer about feeding silent hopes or keeping faith that one day everything will shift on its own. Now it is about reaching into that field of pure desire and turning it into something real. Your soulmate feels this too, even without speaking the way they once did, even while hiding behind pride or self-protection. This person feels the same urgency. Part of their heart is exhausted from waiting and daydreaming and imagining a someday that never quite arrives. What they long for now is to share actual life, and they are far closer to a decision than you think. The bond between you still exists, but it has turned into a calling. Either it becomes something real and present and lived, or it will not hold much longer. The feeling is absolutely true, but it needs a place in the physical world to actually happen. It needs actions that confirm everything that was felt and shared and promised in the invisible. Love only survives when it is lived. Before this message goes deeper into your heart, pause and check the channel name carefully. Some people are stealing and reposting our content, but copied messages do not carry the same positive spiritual energy. Stay connected to the original source, Angel's Message for You channel with the black logo base. And now, let your angels speak to you. You are being prepared for this step. God does not awaken a love this deep unless it is meant to be fully and completely lived. But the universe does not force anyone. Free will is still honored and respected. And that is why this is the most decisive moment of all. Either you allow this love to come to life or you will watch the connection fade for lack of action. That is not a punishment. That is simply reality. Feelings held inside for too long begin to fade. And your soulmate is at a place where the feeling has overflowed so many times without finding space that the heart has started to grow quiet. And if you do not act, what once united you may begin losing its strength. Not because love is gone, but because of too much waiting. This love wants to breathe outside of dreams. It wants space in ordinary days, in real encounters, in conversations without a clock running out. Can no longer be kept alive, hidden behind distance. What you two built was never meant to stay only in the spiritual. Spirituality has already done its work of bringing you together. Now it is time for real life to embrace the story, and it will only do that if you allow it, if you open yourself, if you act. The connection has already proven itself to be true, but no connection can hold if it is not also nurtured in the real world. This love is asking to step out of the invisible and touch your lives in a way that can actually be felt and known. There is no point in feeding the beautiful dream if there is no courage to face the living truth. There is no point in waiting for your soulmate to carry the whole weight of it. Heaven has already done its part. Now it belongs to you. Love is here asking to happen, but it will only truly be born if it is lived. And if you want it to last, you need to understand that feeling is the beautiful beginning. But living is what sustains it. This is the moment to release fear, to let go of the reasons you have talked yourself into for staying still, to stop hiding behind the idea that maybe it is not the right time. The time is right now. If you do not take a stand, life will move in a different direction with different possibilities and different paths. Because nothing that refuses to be born can wait forever. And now the question that matters most. Is what is happening the end of this connection or the beginning of something far greater? Maybe the answer is already beating inside you, even if part of you still wants to hold back. This bond is not ending. It is changing form. It is maturing. It is moving from the purely spiritual to finally become something real and touchable and fully alive. What you have lived up until now had tremendous value. Every exchange of energy, every synchronicity, every feeling that tied you to each other across any distance. All of it mattered. But this connection was never meant to keep you waiting forever. It was always preparing you to truly live. And now you are ready, even with the fear, even with the questions. You are standing at the greatest chance you have ever had. The chance to transform the spiritual connection into a real and present life together. You have the right to choose. You can stay where you are. You can try to keep everything the same even when it aches. Or you can understand that the closing of this phase is not a loss at all. It is a gift from heaven, a push into the truest stage yet, the stage where feeling is no longer enough on its own. It must be lived, and if living feels like too much to face, remember this. There is no true love without some risk, but the risk of never trying is always the greater one. Today you are standing before this choice, and everything heaven has ever wanted was for you to reach this moment. The moment you would finally understand that the end of the old form is not a loss. It is the beginning of a love that, for the first time, can happen in its fullness. This is the beginning of something so much greater. And if you say yes with your whole heart, everything can change. Spirituality has been preparing you up to this moment with signs and intuitions and invisible connections. You have carried this love on the most tender plane of existence, trusting in what you could not see, holding on to what you could only feel, and that took real faith, real courage, real devotion. But now heaven is asking for more. It is asking for action. It is asking for surrender. It is asking for the kind of emotional maturity that allows love to step beyond the realm of thought and take its true place in your actual life. Your soulmate is crossing the same turning point. Maybe not in the same way, maybe with different fears and different doubts, but with the same deep need, not just to feel, but to truly live in your presence. And that is why everything began to shift. The distance, the different reactions, the unexpected changes in behavior. All of it was a hidden request from a heart that had grown tired of waiting on its own. You already know this connection will never be exactly what it was before. Not because it ended, but because it transformed. And that is actually a gift. It means it has grown. It has moved from a place where simply existing was enough into a place where it needs to be lived with honesty, with real decisions, with actions that match what the heart desires so deeply. There may still be a part of you that fears taking this step, that turns toward the doubts and the consequences and all the things that could go wrong. But at this point in the journey, the greatest risk is no longer showing up. It is not allowing yourself to be fully present. It is continuing to pour into a connection that has no place in your physical world until you watch it quietly disappear. Your feelings have been real from the very beginning. And now you have the chance to make this love more than a beautiful memory. You can make it real. What heaven wants you to know is simple and clear. The old form of this connection has closed, not to wound you, but to free you, so that you will not remain holding on to what could have been, but instead live what still very much can be. The coming days will bring even stronger signs. Insights arriving out of nowhere, unexpected moments, thoughts you cannot let go of. Pay attention, not to second-guess yourself, but to understand what the universe is showing you with such clarity. Because the love you feel is being led into a decisive moment. And if you are ready, everything can change. Allow yourself. Take even one small step without needing a guarantee first. Surrender to what is asking so deeply to come through. because this is not the end. This is the beginning of a love that will finally be born with everything both of you have been carrying and praying and hoping for. And always remember, you are never alone on this path. Heaven is walking with you every single step of the way. The angels are beside you. You are held. You are guided. You are loved beyond what any words can fully say. May the blessings of heaven rest upon you today and every day. May you feel peace in your heart even in the middle of the uncertainty. May you find the courage to take the step that is waiting for you. And may this love finally take the form it was always meant to have. With infinite love, your angels. Amen.